We're back with Aaron Burdett. This is the clip show slash web extra section of the interview. And the song we just heard is Arlo. Arlo is a song that while there are hardships in the song, including the death of the mother that are upsetting for sure, I also get this real sense of pride in the work, in working in this metal factory, in keeping a stoic appearance. You say more proud than wise, but the pride is something that's admirable, and it comes through. Talk a little bit about the dignity and the pride of work.
Man, I sure enjoy looking back on a day and seeing something I've done. I'm a doer, not a talker. One of the things that's frustrating now is I build houses for a living. So my projects, by definition, in my day job world, are a year long or more. So you pretty much have to wait a year or two to be like, oh, that's done. Look at that complete thing we did. I remember I used to work for a roofer when I lived in Boone, North Carolina, and one of the things I loved about it, I won't claim to have loved being a roofer, but one of the things I really admired about it was that you would go to work, and in the course of 3 days, maybe 2 weeks at the most, maybe a day, maybe 4 days, not long, you would go from just something that looked terrible and was non-functional, and you would remove it and you would put back something that was geometrically perfect with these nice straight lines, and you could step back and say, oh, look at that, and then leave, and you were done. It just gave you that sort of sense of completion and satisfaction much more often than when my jobs take a year. I feel better when I do stuff. I feel better when I work. I feel better when I feel better when I'm making progress on things and cleaning up stuff around the house or doing a little project around the house. I just like that. That's kind of how I relax. I've found. I think one of my favorite things is like being snowed in for a few days in the winter, where it's like, oh, well, there's nothing I can do other than, oh, maybe I can clean up my office here. Oh, why don't I straighten up those guitars over there? Why don't I, what if I built those shelves over there I've been thinking about? I just get a real satisfaction out of making things better.
You certainly have a more productive way of relaxing than I do. Not to say that I can't be productive, but it's not my relaxation mode, to be sure.
Yeah. My wife doesn't understand it either.
Well, she's lucky she got you around, and my dad's the same way.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I keep telling her.
I know I'm lucky to have my dad around, and he always has to straighten up, and I have to go make the radio show. I have to go cook an elaborate dinner. I have to make the art. The straightening up just doesn't make me shine the way being creative or taking a walk might make me happy. Putting the headphones in, listening to albums like yours.
Yeah, we're all different.
The last thing I wanted to ask is, in the song you talk about wanting to go back and do it again without the stress, just the happiness. Yeah. And in the final song I'm going to play, Dream Rich, Dirt Poor, you talk about how, if before entering life you knew about all the hardships and heartbreak you'd face, people would never have the strength to do it. I know you said you're a glass half full type of guy, but do you think that given the opportunity, knowing everything up and down that they'd go through, that most people would choose to go face it, if, if they knew full well how it would end up, which, there would be good times and bad times, but ultimately, it would be death,
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That's one of those, that's one of those philosophical questions that I think it's something you can talk about and roll around, but I don't think there's any way a person could ever. It's a jumping off point for an evening or a lifetime's worth of discussion and argument, but I don't think there's a right answer or a wrong answer. In a very, specific examples, my wife and I always joke that, if people really knew what was going to happen when you get married, man, I just don't think anybody would do it. Oh, and the same is like having kids. They're like, you know what? If you really knew, how hard this was going to be, you probably wouldn't do it. But fortunately, we don't know. And we do have that drive to do these things. And both of those examples I just gave are so incredibly rewarding and so incredibly difficult. We would never give back our children, but man, we would sure be happy to get back the sense of freedom and low responsibility we had before them. I don't, as far as life is concerned, I think it comes back to that glass half full, glass half empty type deal. I mean, are you hopeful or are you pessimistic? And I'm not saying you have to be one all the time. Some days I'm pessimistic. Most days I'm hopeful. But if it's a scale, if it's a gauge on your dashboard and straight up and down is like completely neutral, I'm fortunate that my gauge is just, the 15 degrees to the right. I'm just up above that. And some days that gauge gets down below the neutral and I'm not. But for the most part, my gauge is up there. It's not up at 100%. It's up at, 60%. I just think getting through day to day and getting through a life and a week and a month and a year, you just have to keep going. You just have to keep going and do the best with what you've got. Fortunately, we don't have the opportunity to know what's coming. We can try to learn. These are all those things. Try to learn from people before. That quote, Arlo, the song Arlo is absolutely, it's from a friend of mine named Arlo, a songwriter, and I talked to him all the time, and for years I would just write down some of the things he said after we spoke, and it wound up turning into that song. And it was, I wish I could go back and do it all again without the stress, just the happiness. That was talking about reading stories to my daughter. She's 6 now, but that's probably a few years ago. And he'd call and I'd say, I got to go. We're reading stories right now. I can't talk. And he said, oh, man, I wish I could go back and do that all again without the stress, just the happiness. And that just stuck with me. That's where that's from.
Well, I'm certainly glad that not only are you at 60, but you're at 60 and you're in a good place as far
today.
As being at 60 today. In general, today. Aaron Burdett, thank you so much for coming on the show. You are a gifted lyricist. You truly are.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.